All right, folks, I have the pleasure of being here with the legendary Matt Leacock, and we're going to be talking about your new game, which is the Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship, which takes the pandemic system and sort of plays around with it and has a little bit of a twist on that, which you have done in the past, obviously, with other games as well. But could you sort of take us through the process of how you came to be designing this, and also sort of take us through the design, well, the mechanics of the game as well? That'd be really awesome.
Yeah, how much time you got?
Loads of time. It's Lord of the Rings. I am here forever.
Okay, yeah, so I was offered the license by Z-Man years and years ago, and it was just kind of, so Lord of the Rings means a lot to me, and it's such a big license, such a big world, that I was a little overwhelmed by the thought. So I didn't jump into it right away. It was just so large. But about 3 years ago, I just started sketching some ideas.
Yeah.
I had the seed of an idea, and started sketching out maps, and eventually here we are, 3 years later. The game, one of the first nuts to crack on it was, so in pandemic, disease just shows up magically out of nowhere, and I did not want that to happen in this game.
Can't have orcs and stuff just popping up all over the place, I guess.
Right. So, but I designed Fall of Rome with Paulo Mori, and I thought, well, maybe there's some DNA there, some seed of an idea. But even with Fall of Rome, there's the long columns, and that didn't feel right either. So after some tinkering, I found a way to accumulate troops into armies and send those armies across Middle-earth in a very scary way.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy when I've got something really scary going on. So I had that going.
When Barad-dûr opens and everything pours out, you know you've got a good game. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right. The other piece was in pandemic, you take direct flights across the board, and with the exception of eagles, which are over here.
Why didn't they fly them? Someone know.
This game answers it.
Does it? Oh, cool. Right.
Yeah. So there's an event card called Eagles. You can fly in the game, even if you're Frodo, to Mount Doom. You can do that.
Love it.
All the Nazgûl will see you. They will all go to you, and they will search for you, and it's generally bad, but you can try it, and
give it a go.
You can win the game that way. It's just hard. But yeah, so I needed to solve the problem for traveling around, right, and making it interesting. And you want all of Middle-earth to be interesting and usable and have a purpose and integrated.
Because journeys are so integral to the story of the Lord of the Rings and anything that Tolkien wrote, you want to have that playthrough in the mechanics, I guess, yes.
Right, I mean, if you read the book, there is a lot of traveling, and it's by foot. There's some horseback, but it's mostly,
You get songs in here as well, occasional walking songs? Or?
Yeah, if you are Merry and Pippin, you can absolutely spend some friendship to give a song to recover.
Oh my lord, that's amazing.
Yeah, we played it this morning, and they actually did that in Mordor, and then Merry and Pippin took off. I solved that by actually giving every player 2 characters, because that activated more of the board, and it allowed you to actually have a true fellowship. Imagine a 2-player game where the Fellowship of the Ring was just doesn't have the same feel to it, and that solves so many problems. And it made for really interesting puzzles where, as you move from point to point on the map, you can bring other characters with you and organically form a fellowship.
Yeah.
But then there's so many threats on the board, you have to periodically separate, just like in the book.
So how does the sort of typical game turn play out then when you're diving into this game?
Yeah, so one of the great things is if you're familiar with Pandemic, you understand the basic turn structure. You take 4 actions with one of your characters, 1 action with the other. And you can do them in either order. So you got kind of like an A plot and a B plot if you're thinking of movies. And then you draw your 2 player cards, and then you draw shadow cards equal to the threat rate, which gradually increases. The shadow cards are interesting because when you draw those cards, you flip them over, and you look at the top card of the draw pile, and it'll either show a red flag or a black banner. That's it. Yeah, exactly. It's either going to add a troop to an existing army, or it's going to march one of those armies toward the havens. So they kind of build up and then they march out. But that's the turns. Then there's fewer different kinds of actions in this game than there are in Pandemic. There's 6 actions.
And I guess do you have sort of that sort of end goal of tossing the ring into Mordor, but then there's side objectives for characters as well, I think, at the same time, yeah?
Yeah, I would say about 2/3 of the way through development, I had the game working, and it was just about destroying the ring. Yeah. But there was a risk there that it was going to feel like the same game over and over again. So I developed a objective system. So if people are familiar with Pandemic Legacy or even Rising Tide, have objectives. So in the intro game that we recommend, you have to attain the blessing of the elves. So essentially have a Council of Elrond. You need to break Saruman's staff and take over Isengard. And you need to challenge Sauron before you can destroy the ring. But once you've played that, there are 24 other objectives. And depending on the difficulty level, there's like a crazy combination of counterfactuals, like what would have happened if this happened in the game.
I really like the idea of that, because obviously you've got all of the replayability built into sort of like the core stuff that you would imagine to find in Tolkien's Tale, but then you can also tell different stories, which is always fun to do in Middle-earth and all that kind of thing as well. I assume there must have been some really fun moments in development where you're like, oh my god, this has just clicked for me. Like beyond obviously the things you talked about so far, like massing armies and things like that, was there anything else that was like, we've cracked it, we've done it? Sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, one that just immediately sprang to mind was like developing Eowyn and allowing her to actually take out the Nazgul, on certain combat roles. Was, I mean, everybody loved that. It's such a fun, unexpected thing to be able to do that. The capture rules, being able to like there are circumstances where you might be able to capture Minas Morgul, right? And that might make sense. Not all the time, but just being able to go to the Grey Havens and sail down to Pelargir. They could have done it. Why didn't they do that in the book? And you can do it in here and go like, oh, maybe that's why. Maybe it's not such a good idea.
There were too many Corsairs. That's why.
That's right. I mean, so you can like try out things that you wanted to, you might have wondered. But as far as development, it was just a steady march, just a gradual improvement.
And you say that obviously Tolkien and Lord of the Rings very close to you as well, and sort of like that world and all that kind of thing. I bet it was really fun sort of working with Middle-earth Enterprises and coming up with like ideas for the artwork and all that kind of thing at the same time alongside all of that.
Yeah, Z-Man worked closely with the artist. I'm trying to think who did the character art. I'm blanking on the name. You'll have to put it in the show.
We'll put it in the show notes.
It's the jet lag. Corey Godby.
Oh, there you go. Got it.
Corey Godby. He and I worked. I think this is the second board game he's ever done, and the first one he worked on with me. Yeah. Z-Man found him independently.
Wow.
And so I was so delighted when they picked him out. He's captured really the look. And working with Middle-earth Enterprises was very simple. I worked through the studio, and they had a second eye on everything. But yeah,
I gotta say, I love the little meeples. The little evil meeples are amazing for this, and all the little figures are fantastic for it as well. It's such a gorgeous thing to look at, which is always something you really want with a Middle-earth game, which I think is quite nice. Can people get their hands on this now, or is it coming out soon? What's the deal with that at the moment?
So official word right now is it's pre-releasing here. So if you're lucky enough to find it here, you can pick it up. And then it should be late summer, is what I'm told. Yeah.
And obviously, we're sat here at the Asmodee booth. People can come along and demo the game and have some fun with it as well, and sort of play around with the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think we've expanded now to 2 tables.
It's all down there as well. Yeah, you can see it. Loads of people enjoying Lord of the Rings, which is the best way to have things. That's the best way to have things. I also want to point out as well, Shay, oh my days, how cool is that? If you don't, this is one of the best reasons to buy this game, as well as all the lovely artwork as well, and that kind of thing in there as well. But yes, thank you very much, Matt, for sort of talking us through Fate of the Fellowship. Absolutely really fun to see you doing more stuff with the pandemic system, sort of taking it in different directions and all that kind of thing. As I say, maybe you come down, you can see Matt. You're hanging around the booth, I think, as well. So
yeah, I'll be here every day in the afternoon. Yeah.
Brilliant, there you go. So you may even bump into the legendary Matt Leacock as well. So yes, we're going to move on. We're going to dive into more videos in the live blog and, of course, on the live stream as well. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Comment down below. Bye for now.